Good evening from the Health Education campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates.
Yeah, a debate that you'll be choosing sides and not let Trump speak when he clearly has the right to respond to his opponent's statement.
By the Commission on Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments, with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules.
Yeah, they agreed, but wow, this debate turned into a kindergarten level. I'm going to let SpongeBob and Patrick illustrate to my viewers how this debate went.
Gentlemen, we're now into open discussion.
Open discussion.
Open discussion. Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number
White.
one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare.
Why would you want to expand Obamacare? That will only increase taxes, which is not good news. Taxes are already bad according to health markets, and if Obamacare is increased, I think it's fair to assume that prices will increase soon. So you're already starting off bad.
They do. They will, under my proposal.
It's not what you've said,
But
and it's not what your party has said.
That is simply
Your party
a lie.
doesn't say it. Your party wants to go socialist medicine.
My party is
and
me.
socialist
right
healthcare.
now, I am
and
the
they're going to
Democratic
dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
Not according
Democratic
to
Party
Harris.
is what I, in fact, approved of. What I approved of. Now, here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those?
On his watch? Are you referring to the pandemic? So it's Trump for people died during a virus? Let's not forget Trump is still a human being that is unable to heal people with his hands. A virus is simply a virus and is out to do what it's created to do. That is to infect anything that breathes. It's not Trump's fault 200 people died. That is China's fault.
2 million people because you were very late on.
You know, Joe, multiple experts in body language stated your laughing is not only a sign of weakness, but a sign of defeat. They stated your smug laugh is only because you have nothing to say about that. That's why you tried avoiding Trump from exposing you on the depths that are on you when there wasn't a pandemic.
In the next segment, but go ahead.
Let me finish. The point is that the president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well in the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is all
You don't know it's
begun.
on the ballot. Why is it on the ballot?
Because
Why is
you
it on the
said
ballot? It's not on.
Okay, Trump, this is where you messed up badly. Instead of staying silent and waiting for Biden to screw himself over, you continue to save him from saying something that will surely hurt his campaign. But also, this act of not letting him speak made you look like a fool trying to remain a president and made people wonder, this is who we're voting for again? Next time, let him speak.
Well, all right. Let's talk. We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time, so.
It's funny how you say we have a lot of time, but you barely let Trump speak or respond to Biden's statements. This man, as a moderator, is the saddest excuse of a moderator. He clearly chose sides with Biden. It's funny how both Republicans and Democrats said Chris Wallace should never be the moderator again.
That's right.
Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they want to give good health care.
If I may ask my question, sir.
good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well,
I got rid of the individual mandate.
I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a big chunk of Obamacare. That is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris, that was the worst part of Obama.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of it.
I'd like
and we will protect people with
President, I'm the
pre-existing
moderator of this
conditions.
debate.
I had to watch this debate 4 times and do massive research to make this video. Every time I saw this debate, I felt like I was going through an anxiety attack. And I don't even suffer from anxiety.
Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan.
Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something, that there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So
here we go with the laugh again. But that is true. Almost 5 decades and Biden hasn't come close to the almost 4 years of work Trump has done. That's not even half a decade. And people are really voting for Biden?
like water, you want to know the truth. So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs that what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because they pay just a tiny fraction.
As I say, this is open discussion.
No,
Let
but
me
this
ask
is
you about,
big.
you'll
This
be
is
happy,
big stuff.
sir. You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and
Yes.
the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
will, if I can ask you the question, it will
Not
end.
what your party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option, number one.
Joe, you
Number
agreed
two.
with Bernie Sanders, who's far left, on the manifesto, we call it, and that gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you saying
I'm not
you
going
didn't
to
agree?
listen to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm
Not by
here
much.
standing facing you, old buddy.
Pocahontas would have left
Well,
2 days
I tell
early.
you,
You would have lost every primary.
All he knows how to
on
do
Super
is hurt.
Tuesday. You got
Look,
very lucky.
here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to
With
make
what?
sure, because
With what?
here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
It doesn't make sense to call someone a liar when you're not exposing the lies. Also, it's extremely hypocritical of calling someone a liar when you're a bigger liar. The internet has been doing a great job exposing you and your bullshit.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
Here we go again with Trump not letting him speak.
Finish, sir.
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd be
you know,
surprised.
you pick
You'd be surprised.
the
Go ahead,
wrong
Joe.
guy,
Talk,
the wrong
talk,
night
Joe.
at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders to the
The
manifesto.
whole idea.
Let
Now you're
him-
disavowing it.
There is no manifesto, number
Please
one.
let him speak, Mr.
Number
President.
two.
You just lost the left.
Number two.
You just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan
Folks,
that's absolutely
folks,
agreed
do you
to,
have any
and under that
idea
plan,
what
you
this
have
clown's
socialized,
doing?
They call it
Mr.
Medicare.
Do you have any
President.
Socialized medicine.
Mr.
Well, I
President,
tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care. Because
Bernie?
because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession.
His recession? Is it fair to blame the downfall of the economy on Trump? The blame is on China for releasing a virus that spread across the globe. Before the pandemic, the economy was in a never-seen-before state. Finding a job was probably one of the easiest things to do.
He
Obamacare
doesn't
is
know
no
how.
good.
He doesn't know how
I've
to do
already
that.
fixed it.
He has never
I've
offered
already
a plan.
fixed it to an extent.
He
Head, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better. And I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guarantee pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed, that they shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people, okay? I said, you got to run it so well.
That's what he's
And I
known for.
just had a meeting with them. They said, the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive,
I got you.
premiums
I
are
got
too
it.
high, and
That's
it
what his
doesn't work.
people- that's what his
So
people said.
we do
No,
want to
no,
get
no.
rid of it.
It's
Chris,
an
we
open
want to get rid of it
I
and
understand
give
it, sir,
something
but I have
that's
to
cheaper
give
and
you
better.
roughly equal time.
Good.
Please let the vice president talk.
Good.
Former Vice President.
plan for health care. Of
course we do.
Please.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right,
He's
I have one.
against it.
I have one.
So you pretty much repeated the same thing 3 times. How about this, Joe? Forget about the horrible work Trump has done as of now, and you explain your ideas on what should be done and how will it be better than what Trump has done. You've wasted most of your time saying how bad of a president Trump has been, but never explained how, nor explained how you can do better.
This is there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in.
This is another segment on how Biden avoids the question. What he said had nothing to do with the question he was asked. Instead, he looks at the camera and talks to the people who are listening and tries to make them look genuine. The experts I mentioned before also spoke on this as well.
Justice,
The
radical
question-
left.
Will you
Who
shut
is your,
up, man?
listen,
Telling the president to shut up. Wow. If he has no respect for the person who is leading this country, you think he's going to have respect for you? Okay.
the court.
We have,
I'm not going to give a list.
we have ended this segment.
Yeah, end the segment to save Joe from his failure. Wallace, how about you ask Joe to respond to packing the court? It wasn't like time was running out and you had to rush into the next segment.
They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject, so let's try to be serious about it. We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people have died. Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck. 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan.
Wrong.
I laid out
Sir,
back
it's
in
his 2
March
minutes.
exactly
it's so
what we
wrong.
should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools. It costs a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to
You have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have
unrelated to
closed
your
our country.
Wait, no, just
Wait a
start.
minute.
It's his 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no
very-
economic recession.
Sir, you made a
There was-
wait, no,
there was no
lethal
recession.
disease,
You made
by
a
the way.
point. Let him answer.
And there was we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he shut down.
The swine flu was far less dangerous than the coronavirus. Let's get that right. Had the swine flu been as big as corona, you would have had much more trouble. If you think keeping the country closed and not opening it was a good idea, you would have killed millions, as Trump says.
How many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID?
That can't be said about anyone who lost their loved ones. Trump isn't at fault. He can't control the virus, you imbecile. He can't keep a virus when tons of people brought it to this country from Europe, which is stated by Cuomo. He closed all transportation and business out of the country, and you called him a racist for that? Was he supposed to keep the country open and let even more infected people in?
End of the year, and he held up. He said, "If we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask." And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all. Nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't
we
trust
Dr.
Johnson
Fauci.
& Johnson, Pfizer?
And
Okay,
by the way,
gentlemen, let me move on to questions about the future because you both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slaoui, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if I call them left, I don't know what I call them.
So you're suggesting that the head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slaoui?
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available, just like
He
Dr.
said it's a
Redfield.
possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also
I'm
be
talking
after
about when it's
that.
generally available, not when
Well,
it will
we're
be.
going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up. Logistically, they're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be
this
delivering
is the
the
same
vaccine.
man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it.
You know damn well he was being sarcastic. You're using that as a weapon? Wow, how petty. But I have to keep it real. Trump shouldn't have said that. Not because there's dumbasses like Biden that will use it against him, but there are dumbasses that will put bleach on them because they don't have a brain.
But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. May God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up, though,
You'll have
on
the
that.
vaccine sooner
I want to
than
pick
that.
up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying
Everybody
you can't,
knows.
or Senator
And
Harris is saying
no,
you can't trust the scientists.
No, you can trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust
She said the public health
Did say
experts,
that.
quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed.
Well, that's what he's going to try to do. But there's millions of scientists, there's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him.
So the scientists that are working for Trump shouldn't take the vaccine? But if any other scientists make the vaccine, the people should take that vaccine? Is Trump putting bleach in the vaccine? Just like Kamala said, she would not take the vaccine if Trump told her to, but would if someone else told her to. As if Trump is trying to eliminate Americans. If so, he would have kept the country closed and made everyone suffer. Here we go again, looking into the camera and acting as if he's speaking genuinely to everyone who is listening.
In light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue,
You are not someone who should be talking about lies.
knowledge that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February, and he didn't even tell you. He's on record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market, one of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
Mr. President?
Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years, you've done nothing.
Let's have this debate.
And if
We'll
you
see
would have
who's
had, let me just tell you something, Joe.
No,
If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
see,
and it's
We're going to
going
get
up
to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up fast.
Okay.
Look forward to talking.
When it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to provide the businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to
Tell
provide
that
them
to Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to Nancy Pelosi. And Schumer,
by the
Brian
way,
Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with him in the
Okay.
Senate.
But-
And he sits on his golf course. And, well, I mean, literally, think
Okay.
about it.
You probably play
think
more than
about
I
it.
do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact?
Well, he wants to shut down this country. And I want to keep it open. And we
You
did
ju-
a
he
great
just
thing by
admitted
shutting
he
it
shut
down.
it down.
Wait a minute,
Let
Joe.
him
Let me
finish,
shut
sir.
you down for a second.
By the way, did you see
Yes, sir.
one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no
or
negative
cheek to
effect.
jowl. No negative effect.
We've
Come
had
on.
no negative effect. And we've had 35, 40,000
All right,
people
you
at
want
any
to
of these rallies.
just
Yes.
quickly finish up because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encouraged them not to. And he's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen,
Joe.
can we move on
Nobody
to the
cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the economy?
Yes.
The economy is, I think it's fair to say, recovering faster than expected from the shutdown.
Much faster.
In the second quarter, the unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference does that mean to the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he was wrong. And again, 2 million people would be dead now instead of still 204,000 people is too much. One person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people, between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening at some of your Democrat-run states where they have these.
Let's talk about Biden right now. Body language expert Mike Bowden said this is an act of defeat. How Biden had his head down with his eyes closed. Biden had nothing to say about what Trump said because it's true. Biden would have gotten a lot more people killed.
Keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks. They can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina, and these governors are under siege, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others, you got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce, look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And he'll close down the whole country, and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right. Your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him.
According to Forbes, Biden is worth $9 million. You do realize you're a millionaire too, right, Biden?
$100 billion because of his profligate tax proposal, and he only focused on the market. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how well are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750 in taxes.
Sir, wait, no, sir, it's his Yeah, I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president.
Biden, I don't know what country you think you've been living in, but if it wasn't for this pandemic, there would have been more jobs available this country has ever seen. The economy was skyrocketing and it wasn't stopping. I hope people aren't actually listening to this dumbass. He's lying for votes. You can't tell me the economy wasn't good before the corona.
Try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home.
He's not trying to make anything better. Both Trump and Pence both confirmed a vaccine will be available, breaking records. I hope Biden realizes it takes a long time to make these vaccines, especially if no one knows anything about the virus that is spreading to this day.
That because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right. Your time is up, sir. We are going to get to...
I have to respond to that.
Well, you both had 2 minutes, sir.
Excuse me. He made a statement.
So did you.
Wallace, shut your mouth and let them respond to each other. They have the right to respond to the statement that is said by their opponent. This is how Wallace tried to say Biden, and it's ridiculous.
A ghost town. And I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their lives. They'll be careful, but they want their schools open. I'm the one that brought...
People want to be safe, yeah, of course. That doesn't mean we want to be on lockdown for the rest of eternity. You don't speak for everybody, Biden. States should be open. People got families to take care of. They have bills to pay.
I'm the one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And
all right,
out of all the important things, you bring back football? Who gives a damn about football? How about you make these damn Republicans and Democrats come to an agreement and send out the checks and unemployment that people need? Why is Trump boasting about football as if that's important?
Your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers. I paid $38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million.
Show us your tax returns.
I went, you'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, if you want to go to the...
I gotta say, in 2016, Trump said the same thing about paying his taxes when he was debating with Hillary. If you have proof, why haven't you proved it? You had years to show it. Now, I'm no idiot. I know very well Trump has paid millions of dollars in taxes. He's a billionaire. For you who actually believe he only paid $750 in taxes, your IQ is as low as a liberal.
No, President, I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just tell you something, that the tax laws, I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We build a building and we get tax credits, like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now, the man got fired.
Here's another smirk because he has nothing to say about that.
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher makes on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts.
Biden, you make it sound as if he's the only one that does that. Name me one person who doesn't try to pay less taxes to earn more for their pockets. For the viewers, name me one person.
Things up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
If he was the worst president, the economy would have been as good as it was.
7 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe.
Mr. President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation, correct?
Not lower taxes for the American people.
But let me.
Excuse me.
But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming. That in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slow recovery since economic recovery, 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes, I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty of companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave, and you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look, we inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't
booming.
Blew it.
He blew it.
It wasn't booming. It was the weakest recovery since 1920.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, before Trump got in office, the unemployment rate was 4.2. Before the pandemic, the unemployment rate was 3.5. So you want to talk about booming? Because I think Trump made things better.
Went in a hole.
Excuse
number
me,
one.
Chris. Wait.
Number two.
Chris.
Number three.
They said it would take. No, you're a number two.
No.
Chris. They said it would take a miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back 700,000 jobs. They brought back nothing. They gave up on manufacturing.
We
Part
did
of
not
my
agree.
standard fare
I'm
totally
back the
gave up on
automobile industry.
manufacturing.
All right, let him.
We brought back, I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General Motors. We brought them back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, they're going.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies came in from Germany, from Japan, went to Michigan, went to Ohio.
They're not having
And
that.
they didn't come in with you.
Mr. Vice President, go ahead.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit
China
with
ate
Mexico.
your lunch, down
All right, gentlemen,
18%. China ate your lunch, Joe. And no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars, to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also,
Simply
while we're
not
at it,
true.
why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million.
That's
What
not
did he
true.
do to deserve it?
That
What
is
did he do with Burisma
none
to
of that
deserve
is true.
$183,000?
None
You've
of
asked
that
your
is
question,
true.
let him answer.
Not
What do you mean that is not true? It's a fact that your son Hunter got $3.5 million from the mayor's wife in Moscow. Don't try to hide it.
You got $3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
He got dollars.
It is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr.
Oh,
President,
but, Mr.
it's an open discussion, please.
Now,
It's a fact.
Well,
It
you
is
have
not a
raised an
fact.
issue. Let the
been
Vice
totally
President answer.
discredited.
Did
There was a
Burisma pay him
report.
$183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr.
Look,
President,
my
job?
son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
and
Mr.
the only guy
President,
that
let
did
him
something-
answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
who?
And
The media?
By everybody. Well, by the media, by our
because they refuse to
allies, by
talk
the
about it
World
because they're
Bank,
embarrassed.
by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people
President,
who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me
under
ask you
oath,
this,
under-
Joe.
under
No,
oath.
go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to
Even the
you.
people under.
He got $3.5 million from
testified-
Moscow.
He testified under oath, and his administration said, "I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd like to know
honorably."
who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list
I'll
of the
fire
people who
them.
testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a
Some
good
because
job.
some people don't
well,
do a good
here's
job. With you,
Go
they
ahead.
say
You get
here's the
the, wait a
deal.
minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown.
Calling the president a clown. I wonder what he's going to be calling Americans if he's in office.
That is simply
Why did
not
he
true.
deserve $3.5 million
It
from
did-
Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night.
People, do not be fooled. This is Biden trying to avoid the question and bring this on Trump.
Go ahead.
with government.
Go ahead, sir.
And that's
Every-
such a
and they're right
that's
here.
a-
Mr.
that's
President.
such
Every
a great.
single one of them lost
This
a
is not
fortune
about
President.
my
coming and
family or
helping
his
us
family.
with
It's
government.
about your family.
Oh, here we go. Biden will be talking to the American people acting genuine when in reality, he's avoiding the question.
You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about
you
here.
should
All right,
Take
that's
Not
the, end
about
of the,
here.
that's the end of the
Shouldn't have
segment.
taken the money.
We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice
it's a very-
President,
but Chris,
no,
can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No,
That's
He
a good
stood
thing.
up.
No,
He stood up.
the answer to the
Wallace, how about you stop saving Biden and let him answer tough questions? If there is another debate, there has to be another moderator. This guy sucks.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said, fine people on both sides. No
You know, I listened to this debate without choosing a side. I wanted to be neutral making this video, but Biden is so full of shit. If he heard Trump saying there are fine people on both sides, he also heard there are violent people on both sides. Why didn't Biden mention that? He is a liar and he's trying to manipulate people and the media.
President Trump, I'd like to continue with the
Yes,
issue
go
of
ahead,
race. I
please.
promise we're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment. This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody. And he would know.
What is radical about racial sensitivity training, sir?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and, frankly, very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's doing that. He's the racist.
You just don't know.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this than he does.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important to people know. They don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics like me and grew up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at Ferguson, you go to many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now.
Oh, my
but
Lord.
The reason is that
ridiculous.
the Democrats that run these cities don't want to talk like you about law and order.
Violent
and you
crime,
still haven't mentioned.
violent
Are you in
crime.
favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow it.
Are you in favor of law and order? Go
yes,
ahead,
I'm
say
in
it.
favor.
You
Everybody's
asked a
in favor
question,
of
let him finish.
law and order.
Let him answer.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down much more
he
in
had,
ours.
All right, we're now. Mr. President, you're going to.
Went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what they're talking about, Chris. That's not what they're talking about. He's talking about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law support.
Look,
he has no law enforcement
that's
support.
not true.
Almost
That's
nothing.
not-
Right, who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you.
Look,
Think. We have time.
we don't have time to do
No,
anything.
think
so
about
listen,
it.
look,
Name
folks,
one law enforcement group that came out and
I think,
supported
gentlemen,
you.
I think I'm going to.
Wallace, you need to shut your damn mouth. Every time Trump's put Biden in the top spot, Waller comes and saves Biden. If people don't see this, then you're blind. It's so obvious that Wallace came to save Biden.
I would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question, though, is, as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, stop the days and months of violence?
I don't hold public office. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear. I've made it clear in my public statements that the should be prosecuted.
Never called for the people, the leader.
that.
Excuse me, sir. Called for the leaders in Portland and Oregon to bring in the National Guard. 100.
He can't interfere, but if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
Here,
Oh, really?
Here's the thing.
I sent in the
I
U.S.
asked him a
Marshals to
question.
get the killer in the middle of this. He shot him, and for 3 days,
President Trump,
Portland wouldn't do anything. U.S. Marshals, they took care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
And by the way, his own former spokesperson said, Ryan and Case help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
Here,
Oh, really?
here's the thing.
I sent in the
wait, I
U.S.
asked him a
Marshals to
question.
get the killer in the middle of this. He shot him, and for 3 days.
President Trump.
He doesn't want to calm things down and talking to people and saying, get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just constantly, every single solitary time.
Okay, and to end this, sir, you have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
Repeatedly,
Wait,
you have
just
repeated.
one
No,
second. His
before
statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to.
I
would love to.
you know, if you want to switch seats,
we would very quickly.
We could do that, but
I'd send in the National Guard. It would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay,
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white groups, to say, to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha, and as we...
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing to
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, from the right wing. I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it.
Why are these two getting on Trump as if Trump never said this before?
Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to
supremacists.
condemn?
White
Proud Boys.
supremacists and...
Boys, I can stand by, but I'll tell you what. Some do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right wing. This is a left wing problem.
White supremacist. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
you got it.
Not
An idea, huh? So all those riots that destroyed businesses is an idea? No, these people destroyed many businesses, and it's been shown all over the media what they have done.
Looking at both your records, why should voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump? You have uninterrupted.
this president, we become weaker, sicker, poorer, and more violent. When I was
How did we become poor when the economy was better than ever, breaking records with blacks and Latinos reaching the lowest percentage of unemployment?
being weaker, the fact is that I've gone head to head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
It's
No.
$3.5 million.
That's right.
And
And by the way,
wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute interrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
he never keeps his word. Can
Because
you add,
It's a
yelling.
rhetorical question.
can you
Go
add
ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
you may have.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, thirdly, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. At home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before. In terms of being more violent, when we were in office, there were 15% less violence in us today. He's president of the United States. It's on his watch.
Or it's on the people's watch as well. Is Trump supposed to hold everyone's hand and say, no, you can't do that. That's bad. Don't do that. Don't do bad things. These are grown adults who knows what they're doing is dangerous and illegal. But he won't say that because he'll lose his voters.
Iraq, he spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there heroes.
Are you talking about Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about
I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He
For
wasn't dishonorably
cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you
None of
became
that
vice
is
president,
true.
Well, according to USA Today, Hunter failed the drug test and was discharged from the Navy.
he
My
made a
son,
fortune.
my son,
And he didn't have a job.
my son, like a lot of people we know at home, drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it. And I'm proud of him.
But why
I'm
was he
proud
tens
son.
of millions
All
of
right.
But he
dollars?
wasn't given
All right.
tens of
He
millions
was
of
given
dollars. That
tens
is
of
totally,
millions of
that's
President
totally
President Trump,
discredited.
He made a statement
Gentlemen.
about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
That is
What
not
he
true.
did
Sir,
is he
you're done in
said
this segment.
he called
Mr.
Terry
Vice-
bastards.
I
and he
did
said
not
it on
say
tape.
that.
He said
Mr.
stupid
Please,
bastards. He
sir,
said it. Never
I
say
would
that.
Oh, play it?
Understanding what you may hear about me, I have incredibly good judgment. One, I married Jill. And two, I appointed Johnson to the academy. I just want you to know that. Just clap for that, you stupid bastard.
This is why I call Biden a liar. This man is lying about his plans. He's disrespectful to those who don't agree with him. He lies about things that can be found on YouTube. This man gropes kids, constantly smells little kids' hair. This is a man I wouldn't want near my kids when I have them.
The
I mean, the green-
question is, I can't of all is
I'm having a little trouble myself.
So now you're pretty much choosing sides. This whole debate, you have been an ally to Biden when the moderator is supposed to be neutral to both candidates. You have been called out by Fox, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, etc. We need a new moderator.
Continue. You have been charging for months that mail-in balloting is going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud. But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely.
Since we're talking about voting, I might as well say this right now. Both sides have rights and wrongs. Trump was a disaster to me at first.
So, Donald, all right, I'm afraid to ask this question, but what would you do? Playboy put Ivanka on the cover of the magazine, and she had not.
This is going to be an interesting answer.
He doesn't even want you to have a drink. I know him. So
It would be really disappointing. Not really, but it would depend on what was inside the magazine.
if she posed, it would be fine. But if they put her picture
Yeah, but
on,
it depends on what goes inside the magazine.
Well, see, that's
Inside
her
the
gripe.
magazine.
That's
Right.
this girl's gripe.
And there
People
was nothing.
assume there'll be nude photos.
Right, you do assume that with
Misleading.
Playboy.
okay, she.
But if there
know that
weren't, you
Playboy-
wouldn't have an issue with it then. If they were using her to...
I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it. Oh, it's so weird.
Ever since he said what he said about his own daughter, I still cringe.
Were invalidated. They take them. We don't like them. We don't like them. They throw.
But now that I see Biden, I am convinced we're not voting for Biden. We're voting for that piece of shit opportunist known as Kamala. I am willing to bet Biden will step down and give the office to Kamala. If that happens, goodbye to the country. From what I can see, the people who are voting for Biden are the ones who are told to hate Trump, or they're simply uneducated.
Why is he f***ing taking all these people and their f***ing parents and their family and their kids and shit that are starving and they're gonna f***ing be starving in their country? Like, why is he doing all that shit in large amounts of numbers? Like, does he not care about people or what? Like, what is that about?
Listen, that's what I'm saying. It's not okay in any country to disrespect.
But to
any
blame the
woman,
president
and
for
I know-
individual
and that's what
actions
your
that have
problem
nothing to
is
do with
as
it?
men. That's your problem as men. You still can't listen to me speak.
So you don't like his approach on tackling illegal immigration, and that's what makes him racist?
I think the way that he's handling things like we have these camps set up now for immigrants that are being detained in these camps.
Well, they've been there since when Obama was there too.
The way that he's going about it now is just unprecedented.
I gave you an example of why he is not a racist. Give me another example.
Okay, he's a racist in the form that
Maybe he's not a racist, but what is
the climate. He's changing the climate in the atmosphere.
Donald Trump is changing the climate, and that's racist?
Yes.
All right, guys, we're done.
If you're voting for Biden because you think Biden can do a better job, then I would respect that. But if you're voting for Biden because you hate Trump and you know very well that Biden is not up to the job, you are incredibly selfish, or you're just a pussy because you're afraid of what others would think of you, and you're sabotaging the country.
It's hard to get anywhere